I'd love to. If they don't, you know what, bro? I did something that 10 million people have tried to do, and did it for 11 years, and I'm very thankful I have the opportunity to do it.
One last thing. I have to say, here's what I think, Buff. And I've been looking for you for a while. I've never found you like in any other interview and stuff, but I just got to tell you this. You definitely need to come back, Beth. I mean, finish your career, if anything, in WWE or TNA. You have got to finish it, man.
I really want to. It's just one of those things. It's kind of hard to, it's on this end of the stick. You got to just kind of just ride it out. So, but I hope to be able to do something with more, to finish out. I mean, some of the things that don't get talked about is, being a 5-time World Tag Team Champion with 4 different guys. That's a pretty big deal, And so, I just wish they would, they could use my heat, and let's go make some money. But for some reason, they're scared of me, man.
All right, well, caller, we want to thank you so much for calling in with your questions for Buff. Now, Buff, we got a question coming from our chat room. It sounds like you keep an eye on what's going on with TNA and with the WWE. Who, from what you see, from what you've been watching, who would you like to get in the ring with from what you've been seeing currently in either TNA or WWE?
Gosh, that's just it. I'm a little bit lost. Like the I'll be honest with you. The night when CM Punk wrestled the Morrison Kid, I thought I was going to sit there and go, wow, heck of a match, and oh my God, now I couldn't do that no more. Ooh, I'm 39, and ooh, God, I just knew I was going to be saying those things when it was over. And then when it was over, I went, I got 5 years left. So I really don't know. Like I said, that match there is 2 of their main guys, and I don't know either one of them. This is nothing personal. It's just facts. It's back to that mall thing. Let CM Punk stand in the middle of a mall, and people will walk right by him and step over him. And, and to me, there is power there. And that used to matter when I became a wrestler. And it was called a Q rating. And your Q rating is like, in other words, Hulk Hogan's Q rating is much higher than mine because he would be recognized quicker than I would. But that used to matter, and for some reason, that went away. And it became, who you know, and politics and attitudes. And when I got hired, attitudes didn't matter. Selling tickets mattered. Who's going to sell us a ticket? Who would you buy a ticket to go see? And that's why I got hired, and now it ain't quite like that. It's a little bit different now, How often do you get stopped when you're out?
Don't you think that whole mall example, though, is going to work to your advantage because you have years on CM Punk? Don't you think the whole Q rating it's gonna benefit you because more people know Buff Bagwell from WCW. CM Punk was on Little Known Ring of Honor before he became WWE.
Absolutely. That's what I'm trying to say, and you said it perfectly, so I want you to make sure you hear it out of my mouth. It's not their fault. It's not their fault that they're not more recognizable than Buff Bagwell. It's not my fault that I'm not more recognizable than Sting or The Rock. It's not my fault either. It's called luck and it's called timing. But luck and timing don't pay the bills. Luck and timing don't pay the bills. So let's just call it like it is. Back to the facts again. No matter if I'm making the rules up or not, it's a fact. People are going to recognize me before they recognize a CM Punk in a mall. So who would you hire if you owned a wrestling company? Would you hire CM Punk or would you hire Buff Bagwell? Well, if you got any brains, you'd hire Buff Bagwell because more people recognize him. That's how we used to make money. That's how we used to pick wrestlers. That's how wrestling got started. That's how wrestling got over. Then it stopped, and that didn't matter. And I'm not saying it does matter anymore. I'm telling you that's how we used to do it. Being recognized was money, and it made a difference in your paycheck. And like I said, it's even called a Q rating. That's what it's called. And everybody that's ever been on TV has what's called a Q rating. And Nielsen does their Q ratings every 15 minutes. And if you were in that 15 minutes of the highest rated of the show, and your agent knew it, you get to be able to say, hey, look, bro, I've been on the highest rated show for 86 weeks here. And, so there's a lot of luck involved, a lot of timing involved, but there still comes down to the facts. He's Ring of Honor. I was WCW. More people know me than they know him. So who would you rather push?
Okay. I hear you, Buff. Buff, we're running close to our next guest here, but we did have a caller who's been waiting on really patiently, and if you don't mind, just want to get his question in.
Let's do it.
All right, caller from the 401, you're on the line with Hit the Ropes Radio and Buff Bagwell.
Hey, Buff, this is John. How you doing?
Hey, John, how's it going?
Doing good. What was it like teaming with Lex Luger, being total Buff?
Oh, man, it was really good. I hate that was the last memory of mine at WCW because that's when we were bought out. Me and Lex were together when that whole thing came down. But, to come up with a totally Buff name and, that's when bodies were kind of rare. Now we all look kind of like cookie cutters. Everybody looks kind of the same now, tattoos, tan, and, get gassed up. But back then, your Scotties and your Buff Bagwell and your Lex Lugers were kind of different looking, and I remember watching Lex Luger as a kid and just watching him being, God, he looks great, and then all of a sudden, I'm his tag team partner. And all of a sudden, we're the world champions. So it was a really heck of a ride for me that I really enjoyed and very thankful of,
What was it like working with Chronic, actually?
Chronic were great guys. They were a little bit of that big man disease where, I was shorter, and so a lot of times big guys didn't want to do certain things because I was a little bit shorter. This is during the time before there was a Rey Mysterio world champion, This is still when, WWE wouldn't hire nobody under 6'5", This is during those days. And so they were a little bit hard to work with because they were big guys. And they wouldn't, but really had good matches with them. Brian Clark and, God rest his soul, Brian Adams. Loved them both, worked out with them both several times, and loved them both.
And one last question.
Chronic. That's how their song used to start, remember?
Thank God I missed that.
I think everyone tried to forget, Buff.
I know, I tried. I didn't mean to read that. That was real bad, I'm sorry. The real bad part is it was a great imitation. That's the most worst part. That's the worst part. I did it good.
John, do you have one more question you said?
Yep. What happened between the locker room and the back when you made your appearance in WE? Like, you only had one match, I believe, and people have been talking about it, that nobody wanted to be around you once you got a little bit into trouble when you got released?
The facts are I was only actually at 2 WWE show my entire contract. It took me a month and a half to work my contract out. It took me 2 weeks to get fired. But I literally, even in that 2 weeks I worked for them, I only was visually seen 2 times. And it was at a house show on Sunday in Washington. That me and Booker had a great match. I got to have with Booker 10,000 times. And then the very next night, when we had that cluster, whatever you want to call it, but that's the only time I was ever seen on TV. I was the only match I ever had there. The very next week was Atlanta, and they fired me.
It was that quick.
Yep, that quick. So, just like I said, take all the rumors, take everything and wad it up. How could somebody that had done something for 11 years right mess something up so bad in 2 weeks? You do the math. It's not doable. You wouldn't mess it up in 2 weeks. So it's just rumors, it's jealousy, it's all the things that nobody wants to talk about, but it's the facts. And the facts are, it was a tough time. It was 2 companies merging, and there were going to be guys get hurt. There was going to be some friends switching and gimmicks changing, and cliques changing, and I was caught right in the middle of all that. It was just a real tough time,
All right, John. Well, thanks a lot for your call, and we'll be talking to you soon, man.
Yep. Take care, Bob.
All right.
Thanks, John.
I got 2 questions from the chat room before we get you out of here. This has been a great interview, and I wish we had more time. We definitely need to get you back on Hit the Ropes in the future.
We'll definitely do it again.
Okay. Now, we have one guy, Kevin. Kevin wants to know what it was like being in NWO in the late 90s, and then we had